All right, so today on the show, we're going to have Clifton Denny. Now, you probably know him from On Your Own Outdoors YouTube. He's a public land bow hunter, and this guy's really efficient. What he'll do is he'll go out there and he'll use topo maps to pinpoint and build a strategy for a certain area, and dude, he's pretty accurate. What he's got is really good, and I can't wait to crack them open and find out how to use these maps efficiently to get on big deer. So make sure you leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and see you on it. So Clifton, man, let's get right into this. So as a topo expert, if you're going to go to a new property or something, you know, it's season, you want to go and get the most amount of hunting out of your trip, you're big on topos.
Yeah, maps in general. But yeah, topos in areas where you can use the topographic map 110%. Like it's a huge tool that either guys use it wrong, they don't understand it, or they are going off of information that they've heard from other guys, which obviously we'll get into this today. But yeah.
So do you look at a piece of property and you're like, okay, I'm ruling this out. I'm going to focus on these key points because I don't have a lot of time.
Yep.
And I'm going to focus on these.
Yeah, so, and like we'll pull up in a little while, like I'm going to Illinois and we did get access to some private ground, and that's what I'll do. Like, so I'll go through and I'll map, basically outline everything that is a section that I'm thinking about hunting.
Yeah.
And then I start individually picking this thing apart, looking for the pinch points, looking for the saddles, looking for the drainages that are coming up, creek beds that are coming through, easy access points that I can walk in and find deer, because the way that I scout is also completely against industry standard. So, I find these spots and then, I will label them 1 through 5. And like I could show you in my phone, like I use colors, but, basically label them 1 through 5 on spots that I think are going to be the most promising. And before I sit in a tree, when I go out of state, which is like my thing, 7 days, go out of state, kill something, come home. I will go to all 5 of those pins, and then I will label them 1 through 5. And then I will bank the rest of my week off of how that is going to work out.
So you narrow it down to 5, and then you focus on those areas.
Yeah, and it's not always 5. Sometimes it's 3, right? Because to say that, number one, like start here, deer are going to do deer things. It doesn't matter if you're here, if you're in the mountains, and you're in the river bottoms. It doesn't matter, right? So deer are going to use ridges the same. They're going to use hard lines is what I call it. So like thicket vegetation lines and stuff like
Transitions.
That's exactly right. Transitions. They're going to use waterways. Like it's going to be the same. And like if one of the things that I always say is like, if you've never hunted out of state and you don't have the money to hunt out of state, just go across your state, right? You already got the tags.
Right.
But like in Arkansas, we're spoiled, right? So we all grew up here around the pine thicket. When I started this and was trying to figure out topos, I went to Winona. Well, what I realized is here in Grant County, we got these little low-lying ridges. The deer move on those low-lying ridges the exact same way that they use the big ridges. It just looks different on a map, and it scares people. So
yeah,
most of the time, what you're doing without knowing. And so, like to me, whenever I explain people how to use a topo map, I'm like, hey, do me a favor, pull open your phone, whether that's Onyx, whatever you're using, and drop pins where you have been successful on your deer lease, right? Because we all hunted deer leases. They start dropping them, and then you start seeing that mathematical equation layout. And it's like, oh man, that's a ridge coming down. Like, yep, you notice that's a fat line. You notice that's a fat line. You notice that's a fat line. And then they take that, and you can almost use it as an overlay.
So what's the fat line ridge? For people who don't know.
So a brief example real quick, like a topo map, if you're not familiar with it or whatever.
Go ahead and pull it up, Daniel. Go ahead and pull it up.
That bench that we were on that elk on, he was on a fat line.
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, like, every time.
So you got a fat line, you got the skinny line.
That's right.
Explain the difference between the skinny and the fat line.
So what a fat line is, number one, if you're new to a topo map, if you don't mind zoom out just a little bit, the closer the lines are together, the more steep the grade. Right. The further the lines are apart, the less steep it is. So your fat line on a topo line is going to be your flattest spot on that ridge, right? That's the flattest slope on the ridge in that corridor where it's going down. So like for us here, if you go to the mountains and you'll pay attention, because like I messed this up, right? When I first started doing it, I'd go to the mountains turkey hunting, and every time I got to a flat line like that, it would be an old logging road. Yeah. And I was like, they've got these logging roads marked, and it's not though. It's just dudes way back then knew that was the flattest surface. And you can just almost...
And animals are the same way.
110%. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you're saying deer walk the flat lines?
Yeah, they will, or they'll use them to their advantage, right? So
feed zones.
Cruising corridors. Like I'm a pre-rut, rut, post-rut guy. Like that's when I and the most successful. And they'll use those like as cruising corridors, or like up there in the top left-hand side of the screen, you can see like there's a knob there, right? The small circle. And so like where that finger falls off and it comes down here to the southeast, that's right. Right. So that's going to be a transition. So like where that 500-foot elevation mark, like that's probably where I'm going to hunt. I'm not going to go all the way down to the bottom. I don't like to hunt the bottom most of the time. You know, your deer are crossing the bottom. They're not walking the bottom because there's no benefit to them. You get that swirl effect of the wind down there. They can't really tell where it's coming from. They don't like to be there. Now you'll see them cross through there, or a lot of times I think dudes mess up because you'll see sign down there. It's nighttime. It's nighttime sign. That big mature buck's not hanging out there during the daylight. No, he might cruise through it, but he's not hanging out there all the time. So when you can find these fingers like this, and this one actually just worked out to be a good example. So move your cursor from there to the southeast to that other knob. Okay, no, up just a little bit. Down, the other finger. See how the two fingers look like they're pointing toward each other right there? No, go left.
Southwest.
No,
where he's
left.
There you go. Up.
Down, right.
Up.
I know. I see what you're talking about.
These two.
Yeah.
Like just cursor in between those.
Yeah. We need a
Right.
laser pointer.
Yeah, I don't think you
that's
can
a
see a
good
laser
idea.
pointer on that screen though.
Probably not.
Just
Hey,
give me a switch.
we'll work on it.
Give me a switch.
Get a little fog machine.
Yeah, so this image actually ended up working out way better than what I thought it was going to. All right, so take this and pretend that these are big ridges in a mountain or in a ridgy area. You're out
Right.
in Kansas or whatever. I would call that a Joe trail. I guarantee you, when I go to this spot from that finger to that finger, there's going to be a trail. Absolutely, because it is the easiest place in between two ridges. 110%. And so, like kind of what we were talking about with this one, which we'll get into it with the property that y'all have here in Arkansas. But when dudes see this, right, automatically I'm going to look at it and like where that pin's at, like, ooh, that's a pinch point. That's where I want to go. Ignore the red lines, right? We're not playing property lines, but
Nobody does that.
Nobody
does that anyway.
That's right. They don't use purple paint up north. I'm colorblind. Like, no, but in general though, guys see it and they see this and they're like, ooh, there's a pinch right there. Is that actually the best pinch? Right? Because is that deer going to come through there during the daylight? Probably not. But if he's bedding up there off the south side of that knob, which I assume he's going to be, right? You got a north wind primarily that time of year. He's probably bedding up there above that finger. If you could access from that field right there to the northeast and come in and get halfway up that ridge on that other side, or right here on this ridge, you're going to kill that buck 110%. Like he's going to come through there because I call them Joe trails, military. It's the easiest way in between 2 points. And so whenever my biggest thing to guys is like when you look at a property or you go to public land, and you know, like Onyx has the feature now for acorns. So like I'm seeing it a lot now, because one of the things that I do with my channel is I have guys send me maps. Like, hey dude, if you want help, send it to me. So like half of my day is just going through other people's maps, and I love it because I like the 2 weeks later, they're like, bro, I killed the biggest buck of my life off that pin. Thank you so much. Like, and I just think that's super cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
And the thing is, it hones my skills. Right?
Yeah,
like
sure.
it 110%.
You're gathering so much information.
Bro, it's insane. So the thing is though, is like dudes will, you know, because what does everybody tell you in the industry right now, right? Get in a saddle, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't know what a saddle is, by the way, guys, it looks like, lack of a better term, it's two boobs, and it's the thing in between them, right? It's the little low spot in between.
Yeah. Right.
And that's a saddle and a ridge. And I know y'all know that, but some people might not, right? So everybody says goes to the saddle. Why does a deer use a saddle? Have any of y'all ever killed a buck in a saddle?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Was he crossing the saddle, or was he J hooking around the drainage going down?
This deer was rutting when I killed him.
Yep.
But I will say, before I got into topos, I like took a screenshot. I had a 300-acre piece surrounded by suburban area that I got permission to, and I posted on a saddle hunter page.
Yep.
Had like 15 guys in the comments circle a certain saddle.
Yeah.
Just one saddle on that 300. They're like, I'd start here. And I transitioned to across the property, and I found one scrape, and I put a camera on it, and I saw almost all the deer that I've seen across the property in that one area. And I had a guy hunting like a 1/4-acre piece with this buck. It was a monster. It was like a 7x6, and it was just super funky. He only had nighttime photos, and he was bedded nearby, and I was getting him on daylight in that saddle.
Yeah.
So it's like I started hunting that saddle, and that's when I started getting into topos because all those deer were working that saddle.
Yep.
So it's
and that's the thing that a lot of time guys don't realize is like, because the industry says go to saddles, go to saddles, go to saddle.
Yeah.
We're like saddles are big a lot of times. You know, they're 100 yards across, 200 yards across. So like, how do you know where to set up? So whenever you have a saddle, guys, usually you end up with some kind of drainage, some kind of little drainage that falls off there. And a lot of times why those saddles are so key for big bucks, like for mature deer, is if you pay attention, and this one doesn't really show it, right? But there'll be a fat line that comes up right up there close to the top of that saddle. And what that's going to be is the flattest purpose or the flattest spot coming up that drainage. And those big bucks, dude, they're absolutely 110%. Like, you know, they're going to come through there whenever they're cruising, which is my primary time. Yeah.
Right.
But
And I'm sure you look at different things at different times of the year.
I do.
You know?
Yes and no. So like early season, whenever I look at a map, I'm not as focused on topo originally. So like if I'm going somewhere this time of the year, what I'm doing is I'm looking for a buffet. That's what I call it, right? So I'll find a piece of property that I'm wanting to go hunt, public land or whatever, and I'll zoom out and I'll start just slowly zooming in until I start seeing multiple colors of trees on that map. Because you got to remember, like most of the time my hunts, they're 10, 12 hours from the house and I still have a full-time job. So I got 7 days. So I don't know if it's the white oaks that are dropping. I don't know if it's
you want the best
red oaks.
chance.
That's right. But if I go in here, so if I go just to a red oak ridge, if the red oaks ain't dropping, I'm gonna get whooped. Right.
Yeah, right.
Like, it is what it is. But if I can find on a map like this where there's multiple colors, almost like that north kind of northwest side right there, just to the right of the knob, you see how there's multiple colors of trees in there?
Yeah, right there.
Bro, like that, I'm telling you, like
That's where you would set up.
there's a reason there's a reason why this is on this map, by the way, because that's where I'm going. But I mean, just looking at it now, like you see those multiple colors of trees, that means there's probably white oaks, there's probably red oaks, there might be a persimmon tree in there. You've got some ag fields around you. You know, you've got a bedding area right up there above you with that knob. Like that is a kill zone, 110%. So like that's the kind of stuff that
does
I
look good
at whenever I'm going early season. Multiple colors on a map really, really helps.
So how many people argue with you on the internet about this?
It's actually not about this that I get the arguments from. It's about the wind and how I say
So the
wind
wind,
moves through and that kind of thing.
Whoa, don't zoom too far. I can give you stuff away.
Yeah. Hey, Chris Parnell that we was talking about earlier.
He's gonna kill it first. Don't worry.
No, hey, look.
You're on the wrong knob, bro.
Chris Parnell, which is Camo, Mr. Camo
We
Dust.
got
if
the
y'all don't
coordinates
know
up there. Oh God.
hey, look, you can't get access to this property, so just kidding.
He's got to lock down. He's already
This is
killed all the
random
shooters.
property that nobody knows anything about. No, but Chris Parnell, this is super funny. So when I met Mr. Chris Camo Dust, I met him in the woods. Right, I had shot a mid 150s deer, needed a dog.
You sure it's a 150, not a 130?
Dude, I mean, it depends on what page I'm on.
Hey, if it's anywhere on Facebook, 20-point deduction off the top.
That's right.
I got slammed with my deer.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you slammed the deer, so whatever.
Yeah.
Bad publicity.
I guess-
publicity.
My bad. It sucks. It sure does suck that you shot a buck. That
Just real
maybe
quick
everybody
before we
talk
get too
about.
sidetracked, I got something going to offer in the store, our gear shop. Let me get it.
Hey, don't forget.
Fuck. Dude, it was legendary.
It was legendary.
Legendary.
I wish I'd been there.
I don't know what's in that box, but I'm kind of.
I don't know what's
very
in the box
interested
now.
box. This is a random box.
Hey, are y'all gonna start doing that thing where you give out gifts?
It's a no. It's a
What?
It's a havoc bucket of tears.
That's
See, look
funny.
at it. Y'all see it?
Bucket
That's
O
fucking
tears.
hilarious.
Yeah. So all you haters out there,
Who made that bucket?
well, we did.
I wasn't part of it. That's the first thing I've seen it.
Well, it was a surprise. I want to surprise you guys. It's my blood, my sweat.
He's been sitting on this.
My
for an
blood,
hour.
yours.
Yeah, and your tears. Yeah.
Can I have one to send to somebody?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we sell these buckets on our gear store now. So
Are you gonna be mad when you see that on one of my shirts?
yeah. So anybody that hates on us, wants to be us, well, we can sell you a bucket of tears.
No, you gotta
That's
start
funny.
printing out their Facebook comments and drop it in the bucket.
And then send it to
And when
him.
it fills,
I think
hey,
it's awesome.
when
I
the
think it's
bucket
awesome.
fills up, we'll wrap. We'll just randomly draw for the bucket.
Draw it for the bucket.
Yeah.
It's amazing these people on social media.
Oh, dude, it's
You know?
it is what it is.
It's a good experience for somebody that actually kills a good deer. Then they just slam you all night.
Yep.
And these people stay up all night worrying about
yeah.
this. You know,
But that was one of the reasons. I don't know how long y'all been on social media, but if you remember
we've been on there a long time. This sucks.
the Team Knocked Up page, we had like 35,000 followers at one
Yep.
point in time. Richard Fott and I ran that.
Mhm.
That was one of our biggest things, man. It's like a kid get on there, kill a button buck or a spike, and like, hey, I stack bodies. Like I like to shoot shit. I'm
Mhm.
not here to just
Right.
watch everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I've got a 50-inch rule. If I'm in there hunting a 150-inch deer, like I will shoot a 100-inch deer if I'm mad at them. Like
Yeah,
I kind of got it.
It depends. Dude, sometimes you need that.
Yeah.
Bro,
Sometimes you need that.
Bro, people
To
come to
bounce
my
back.
house and like they look at my man room. They're like, "Oh my god!" And I'm like, "Go look in that barrel." And like, you go take this lid off this 55-gallon drum. It's just a stack.
It's just amazing how people hate on you so
yeah.
much. It don't matter.
Man,
it don't matter
it's-
what it is.
Look, it's jealousy.
Yeah, I don't know
110%.
what it is, but-
Nah, it is. It's jealousy, and then to me, like it's human nature. Like they just want to argue. It's the same
Yeah.
thing with the wind stuff.
Yeah.
Getting into the winds later or whatever. Like I did that for a living.
Yeah.
Like for weapons of mass destruction for the military, and so like a particle counter counts the particles in the air, and so knowing how that moves
Yeah.
through timber, through cities.
And somebody's gonna
stuff like
argue.
that.
Somebody's gonna see this podcast and,
And
say you're
argue
wrong.
with you.
No, they absolutely will.
I mean,
right?
it's
Because-
amazing these
Good.
people.
Publicity.
no, it is because like just talking about the wind real quick, like everybody's thing is like if you get on there and listen, like it moves through like water. No, it moves through like it has momentum because it does, right? So if you're hunting two different ridges like this is a good early season tactic, right?
Right.
So if you go in and you scout and you're hunting feed trees, I don't hunt feed trees, right? But if you do and you're going, and number one, if you've never killed a 3-year-old deer, hunt the feed tree. If you're looking for the 5 or 6+ year old deer, get off of that ridge. And so you got two ridges lined up like this, right? And this one's just tore up with feed sign. They're in there, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go hunt it. I'm going to go hunt this ridge on this side. And the reason being, say that just for example, these two ridges are running north and south and they're
Right.
parallel on each other. And you've got a straight west wind. That wind comes up that, and then it basically ramps, right? And then you're going to have what's called a fallout area somewhere. If you don't believe me, take a wad of dirt and throw it as hard as you can. It doesn't immediately go to the ground, follow the ground, right?
Right.
And dirt's just particles in the air, right? The
Yeah.
air, the wind being the force of your arm. And so where that fallout is, usually from the top of a ridge, there's a good 50 to 75 foot or yards there, depending on the wind speed, that you're never going to see a mature deer in because he can't smell. There's no wind getting to him there.
Right.
But if you go to this, which is why I always say, like, I hunt the windward side of ridges and people think I'm nuts. Well, I'm hunting the windward side of this ridge, but I'm hunting the downwind side of this ridge, right?
Right.
So down here, like whenever you're looking at a ridge, if you go walk any ridge and you look for deer trails, 25% of the way up or 75% of the way up, that's where your primary deer trails are.
That's right.
Two things. Number one, if you look at this map, it's a lot of times where the fat lines are. But why are the fat lines there? Why are those deer using that? Why is the wind? What's happening there? It's the fallout, depending on the wind speed. And so that's the reason I don't hunt the bottoms, right? So I'll get on the side of this other ridge. Now, the way that I hunt, I don't see a bunch of deer, right? If I go on a hunt for a week somewhere, I'm probably going to see 5 deer. But the second one probably caught an arrow. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's a
Hunt
4.5
quality,
year old. That's exactly right. So if you want to see a bunch of deer, by all means, go sit on the feed tree. You're probably going to blow them out coming in. You're probably going to blow them out going out. But if you would just move to that next ridge down, you're going to kill the deer that you're getting on nighttime pictures over here. You're going to kill him on that ridge. And I think that's the piece that people miss a lot of times.
I agree with that.
And then there's dudes that are like, I hunt the windward side of ridges
Yeah.
and they kill big bucks, like on all the pages. But I'll get them in my inbox being like, I never knew why I was killing them. Like I knew that I was hunting on the windward side and I was killing these big deer, but I never knew why
Yeah.
they were coming through. And then that's where it comes into the topo maps, right? So if I go out and I put boots on ground and I find a ridge, it's got a bunch of acorn trees on it, white oaks are raining or whatever. Now I want to zoom out on that map and find those fingers. Figure out why those deer are diving into those places. Like where are they? Because I know they're not bedding on this feed ridge, right? Like you might have a couple young deer on it, but typically deer are going to travel a little ways, right? So like, why are these deer here? Like where are they coming from? So then you just zoom out, you start seeing those fingers come down, and just like your fingers here, if you see these two that are going across, and they're the only two that kind of meet up with each other, that's where you want to start. X marks the spot. You go down that finger until you hit where that fat line comes across and sit there.
Yeah. You're playing the numbers.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's calculated.
Yep. Nope. It is. And that's whenever I talk to guys about like, how did I start figuring this out? Once I thought I had it figured out, right? From
Yeah.
going out of state, I'm like, oh, I think I'm on to something. And that's what I was talking about Chris Parnell. He's like, don't ever mention it in a podcast. Like we don't want people knowing, you know? But once I started thinking that I figured it out, I did the same thing. I grew up in Grant County, hunted a lease that was 3,500 acres. We had 5 or 6 stands you consistently
Yeah.
kill bucks on every year. So I went over there. I'm not in the lease anymore, but I go over there on my map and I start dropping pins. And I'll be damned, it's the same. You know, so deer are going to do deer things no matter where they're at.
And mature bucks are going to do mature buck things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Be in the same areas.
Yep.
Be in the same
and
transitions.
then, you know, the thing is, a lot of times with this, like if you're hunting mature deer too, guys, like you need to understand, like sometimes you might just have to hunt a track, which I've done. Like I've went in and I'm like, I know that deer, like there's got to be a big deer in here. And then I cut one track and I'm like, he's here. Right? I know he's here. And then I will go off of my experience, and like confidence is accuracy, just like we talked about bows. It's the same way whenever it comes to setting up. Like I think one of the big mistakes dudes make is they'll go and they've got their stand on their back because everybody's mobile nowadays, and like they see a good spot and they're like, oh, that's a good spot. I wonder what's over here. And they keep going and they keep going. I don't do that because whenever I say I scout different than everybody else, it's like I completely blow an area out whenever I scout. So like when we went to Iowa last year, I walked 21 miles in the first day and a half I was in Iowa, but I killed a 148-inch deer the first hit, right, the next afternoon. So this is where it gets into this. And like when you're scouting, if you go in and you're scouting like an Indian, you're being really, really quiet, right? If you jump a deer, he sees you. Now he knows somebody's in there, right?
Right.
So I will go in, try to do it with the wind in my face, of course, right? But I will go in and I am breaking every limb, popping every limb, stepping on every limb. I'm just marching through this timber because if I jump that buck out of his bed, I want him to be 250 yards from me when I jump him, right?
Yeah.
So he doesn't see me. I don't see him. He just hears all kinds of ruckus. So he gets up and eases away. When I get up there, I'm like, that's a buck bed. That's a good buck bed. I come back in the next day and I kill that deer.
What makes a good buck bed versus a non?
So to me, it's sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, we just got off the phone like yesterday with your friend who killed a early season velvet buck that he bumped off the bed and hunted the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bump and dump. It works. It works. It does.
How do you do that?
You just scared off and he's
Just
like,
walked up, scared him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, he knew the deer was over there.
Yeah.
He jumped it and was like, I'm just going to
Yep.
come sit.
So what
Sit
makes a
right
good buck bed?
So I think it depends on the time of year. Early season, you got something that's thick. Early season's a lot harder to directly find one deer in his bed, in my opinion, because they're still kind of grouped up.
Mm-hmm.
And even if they are starting to separate, you know, whenever deer are like super early season, they're still in their bachelor group real tight. Like they'll all bed pretty close to each other. Like, but once they start busting up from that bachelor group, they're still going to bed in the same thicket a lot of times. They'll just be a little bit spaced out.
Yeah.
Now, once you move a little bit further into the year, like when you're walking through the timber and like you're seeing little rub, and then all of a sudden you're seeing rub, just everywhere. And you find that bed in the middle of that, you're in his bedroom. Like that's big boy. He's hitting every tree around him. He wants everybody to know this is my house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That kind of thing. And most of the time, like you play it off the wind, like, you know.
But you can tell by the bed itself. It's
Yeah,
a
the
big
size.
buck.
Yeah,
The size or small buck.
so you got to imagine whenever I say big buck, because I don't run cameras, right? I don't run trail cameras.
You don't
that
run
kind
no
of stuff.
cameras?
No, because I feel like a lot of times dudes are hunting where deer were, not where they are. You know,
Do you ever feel like, too, like people with trail cameras, like it kind of ruins the hunt because you'll pass up on a deer you probably would shoot if you didn't know?
dude, so what I always say,
I can see that.
You know what I mean? Like
no,
if
for
you're
sure.
expecting a deer, it's probably like 135-inch deer walk in, and you know that's a great deer. Like I would shoot in a heartbeat, but if you know it's 150, you would pass up knowing that.
Right. And you,
know,
may
Tommy,
never, you may never see the 150.
Dude,
Yeah.
my thing is that I always tell everybody is I don't run trail cameras, and the reason I don't is because when I shoot a 4.5-year-old 130-inch deer, you can't convince me he wasn't the biggest son of a bitch in the block of timber,
Yeah.
right?
And I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm happy.
I'm happy.
Satisfied.
But with that being said, getting over on something controversial,
Yeah.
what is that going to do to Kansas?
Mm-hmm.
Because guys like us, right? Say a group of us wanted to go out to Kansas 3 years ago. I'm taking every cell camera I can find.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm setting them up first day I'm there. And I'm not going to shoot until I see a 160 because I've got 3 of them on camera.
Yeah.
We go to Kansas now. All of us, same thing. One of us goes up there early. You can't set up any cameras. So you get there, first 125 comes back, catches an arrow. So what is it going to do to the quality of deer on public land in Kansas? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you can see it
that's
both
that-
ways.
No, that's
And-
what I'm saying. And, you know, a lot of guys automatically just think that I'm like big anti-cameras. I'm not anti-cameras at all. I just don't do it because what I found is the 1 year since I've been hunting public land, which has been 8 years, the 1 year I ran trail cameras was the only year I did not harvest a Pope and Young in the state of Arkansas in the last 8 years. And that was because I was hunting where they were. I let the cameras dictate what I was doing. You know, and that's the thing too, is like, if you want to kill big deer, stop going to the tree you hunted before, right? Because every year crops rotate, crops and trees rotate. It's very unlikely, like a couple years in a row, you might have a white oak that's dropping the same, but it's very unlikely it's going to consistently do that every year, right? So how can you be the most successful? To me, instead of just taking that weekend off, like if you're a weekend warrior and you're going out, even on your deer lease, and I tested this on my old deer lease. It's where I killed my first Pope and Young in Grant County, 152-inch deer.
Well, that's
right?
impressive.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but with that deer, what I ended up doing is I got off the corn piles, right? And I went down there. I went down there on a Sunday, and I'm walking, and I found this random scrape, and I'm like, you know, it's in between two pine thickets, and this little low spots going through there, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing back then, right? I'm like, oh, well, you know, maybe. And I actually set a camera up on that deer, and at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 days in a row, he was coming through and just looking at that scrape coming by, and I was like, no way to work. And I worked at Mountain Valley at the time, and I told my boss, his name was Dennis Adams, and I was like, I'm gonna go kill a giant today. An hour and a half later, I shot that deer. Like, you know, but that was, to me, that was luck. But it gave me a piece to my puzzle now that I understand better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think the biggest thing, if nobody listens to anything else that I ever say on this thing, is the biggest thing whenever it comes to hunting deer and being consistent. Because I'm not the biggest deer killer in the world, right? But I'm consistent.
Yeah.
I kill 5 or 6 bucks in 3 or 4 different states every year. Your hunt really starts after you release the arrow. Like, don't just be happy that you killed the deer. Ask why. Figure out why. When you get home, get back in the maps.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we all do it, man. We get so tuned up. We just killed this big deer. We don't even think about it again until we got some more tags in our pocket.
Yeah.
Right. And then by that time, it's not fresh. It's not.
No. And it'd be just like y'all with building a boat. If you built an aluminum boat 15 years ago and you never asked how the hell to make it faster, would you have a better boat?
That's right.
No, you wouldn't, right? It's right. You have to challenge yourself and ask those why. Why is this doing this? Why is that doing that? Why was that deer here? And I think that that's probably the biggest difference that I did in the beginning.
Yeah, because then you learn from your mistakes and you find consistencies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody told me a long time ago, kind of what you're saying was like, you'll never kill a big deer on a corn bow. Like,
No.
you'll never kill a big buck on. I mean, obviously somebody's gonna do it, you know.
Oh,
But, like,
you're gonna
rarely.
get-
You're not
get
gonna,
made
you're
of
not
that.
gonna be
But you're not
consistent.
gonna consistently kill a big
Yes,
that's
deer
right.
on a corn bow. He's not gonna.
Mature
He's not gonna walk up. He knows that that's not normal.
Especially daytime.
Yeah, he's not
But
gonna.
the thing is like urban, because you know we kind of touched on this the last time I was here. Urban, right? So I learned a lot there too. You can kill deer on feed piles. I figured it out. I didn't do it, but I figured it out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say you can't kill one on it, but
no,
like,
but the way to do it is like on your deer leases. And I wish so bad I'd have known this, 15 years ago. If you've got a deer lease, you've been on that lease for a while. You know where the big deer hang out.
That's right.
Don't put a drop of feed out until the Friday before you go in to hunt that weekend.
Yeah.
You will kill that big deer.
yeah, he
Like
just
100 because a lot of times, like if you'll notice on your cameras, if you put out feed, that big buck come in one time.
yeah.
He come in one time during daylight, and then it's 20 minutes after daylight or after dark, 15 minutes before.
No, you're right
daylight.
about that.
Yeah.
You are right about
That
that.
is that's true.
We talked about that this year.
Dude, I'm telling you, like
You're right about
For the
that.
early buck season.
the
I haven't put no
place,
feet out either, so
the place that Eric
Gotta
and I
wait.
hunt in Mariana, we've got a little private block over there that we hunt. And I guess year before last, we killed 4 Pope and Youngs off of it, and we hunted it 3 days, right? And it's not because it's that good. It's because we stopped the feeding on it. And
Yeah.
so we went and scouted it, just like it was public land, found the bedding area, which is completely against what everybody says. I set up with the bedding area downwind of me, so my wind was blowing in there. And I took me a little apple corn and dumped that stuff out. I was all camo dust up, looked like I just got out of a cookie factory.
Yeah.
Dumped a little. We seen every buck we'd had on camera for 2 years. Like every one of them was just like, "What is this?" And he killed a 146 and I killed a 138 within 5 minutes of each other. Like they didn't care. Like
Yeah.
but it's all about like
it's the apple corn too.
It's
boy.
time. It's time.
See, Daryl's on
It's
the
a special.
apple
It's a special apple corn though.
Yeah.
Like you can't. It ain't all apple corn. You gotta get that one brand. One brand.
I don't know what brand you're talking about. I go and I go when
We're
they,
about to find
when,
out.
when they bring
I know, we're about
when they
to
bring me
find
out,
out.
like when I go to a V store and they bring the apple corn out, I go up to it and I smell it. If it's not strong enough, like no, take that sack back.
That's right.
Man, he ain't strong enough. I need the one that smells like. I'm telling you, it's serious.
That's
Man.
hilarious.
Apple corn is the. I don't care what nobody says.
We have good luck with nut grub.
Nut Grove.
No.
Early season though.
Swamp chump too. They make that up there for me
I was
from.
about to say, bro.
I was telling them about the swamp chump. They didn't believe it. Oh
Look,
my
listen,
god.
Hey, I promise. On my career, If you have an area where you think there are bucks and you've been, I don't care if you've been feeding all year long. If you will go out there with a bag of swamp chomp and dump it out, you'll know every buck you got on your property.
Look, I told him that.
Because for whatever reason, those bucks will just
I told y'all that swamp chump
I
stuff.
wonder what it is makes them do that.
Where did we get that at?
It's in Carlisle. Hazen. Hazen. You can drop there and get it.
Yeah,
Direct.
yeah, but they, like
It's that good, though.
Stanley's in Little Rock, like they sell it.
Dude,
Like there's a bunch of.
we didn't get a
Hey,
pallet.
for y'all over in Leola.
Pallet?
New
I'll
sponsor.
get a pallet of it.
Logan's
sponsor.
Logan's Meat Market.
It's like $300.
Logan's Meat Market sells it. Yeah,
Logan's Meat
Dylan,
Leola?
Listen.
Dylan over there's got it. Yeah.
Listen.
Swing by.
I don't believe a lot of stuff. And like the first time I bought a bag, the feed store, and they had the feed store down in Camden. And it was like, she was like, oh, it's $22. And I'm like, the apple corn's $8. She's like,
Let's meet in the middle.
she's like, well, I'll just try a bag for free. And I'm like, seriously? Oh no, I'll pay. I'm just talking crap. She's like, no, just try it. And she, I'm not really selling it yet. Like, I just got a pallet in. And so I'm like, okay. So I take a bag and I go out to where I was on that, and, got a bunch of does all the time. And I dump this bag of swamp chump out. And I'm not kidding. 10 minutes later, there's like 3 bucks with their face in it. I ain't even never seen it before. I was like,
what?
I called the ladies like, hey, I'm coming back to get like 15 bags right now.
So the other thing
it tastes good. So I put my finger in it.
it does.
And I'm like, I'm eating it. I'm like, oh my God, this stuff is good here. Dude, it tastes like peanut butter. So I'm like,
and it smells.
it smells good. I'm like,
He brought it. He brought it on the elk trip. He was eating it for breakfast. That's how good it was. Yeah.
Hey, when
Like
I
oatmeal.
was hunting the urban, like, I'm a scent freak, but I've got a bed cover, right? Nothing ever goes in the bed of my truck all year long except for hunting stuff. Because I try to keep it a scent free, no petroleum products. But
Petroleum, bro.
hey, look, I'd sit back there and throw all my my swamp chomp in there with my stuff, because I'm hunting urban, so I'm down there baiting anyways.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm sitting up in the tree smelling like swamp chomp. I'm like, I know what's going to happen.
It's fixing to go down. They're
That's
coming
right.
to me, baby.
Yeah, and it was too. It was a 5-point, like this big. Let it eat. And then I posted the
Let it
picture.
eat.
He went, swear to God, look, when I posted the picture, like what was going to be my thumbnail for the video, but when I posted it on Facebook, like I had my 5-year-old in the picture with me. So like everybody was like, "Oh, Bo man killed a deer."
awesome, dude.
Then they go watch the video, and it's like me just like,
swacking them. Smacking them.
Dude, that's hilarious.
Dude, I shot that one buck, and I was telling him, like, it came in. I was kind of half asleep, and I was hunting a big wide deer, and I woke up. I was asleep.
"Oh yeah, hey, I watched this last night."
Look, my stand was, I was like this, right? And so it's like a tree you can't really see, but like the deer come up from the creek to me like this all the time. So I'm sitting there. I was kind of sleeping. I kind of woke up and I looked to my left, and there's like just deer. Then I see like this body. I can't see a head or anything. I'm like,
You can tell.
Yeah.
You're right. That's him.
that's gotta be him. So I'm like reaching like this, trying to get my bow off, and I can't get it because I'm like shaking. And I finally get it, and I pull back, shoot, smack it, like, smack. He turns out, and I stand up real quick, and I look, and I'm like,
Hey, I do got a question.
so I call my buddy. I'm like, hey, I just shot a big deer.
Oh,
Big
hey,
deer.
that's where you messed up. That's where you messed up.
Hey,
It's laid down. I zoom in, like, because he's ran the creek. It falls over dead, like 100 yards. So I zoom in on my camera. I'm like, sending him a Snapchat. He's like, that's a good deer. And I keep looking. So I stand up, put my binos out. I'm like,
Something's not right.
the body's so big. Why can't I see the horn?
Hey, listen. Hey,
broke a ball.
So I watched a video last night of you guys sitting at the same table with my mechanic. That's what I call Jody Smith, right? I call him my
Right.
mechanic.
Yeah.
Right? I'm the Indian. He's the mechanic.
Yeah,
Like,
he's
every Indian
he
has
knows.
a job,
He
and
knows
mine's
what's going
not
on.
Tuning bows. Mine's not tuning bows. But the one thing that you didn't mention in that story, whenever I watched that video, was whose buck was bigger. Because you said your buddy shot one and then he came down there. You never finished the story.
Look,
you never
look,
finished the story on whose was bigger.
So I did it, and he texted me because he's on
He
one of my
dodged it
spots.
again.
Look, hold on. Look, he texts me. He's like, text me. He's like, hey, because he hadn't killed a buck with his bow, really. And I was putting one of my spots. He's like, can I shoot a buck? And I'm like, well, I wouldn't ask you if you put me in a stand. I'm going to shoot whatever walks out. And so he's like, okay. He takes me back. I killed one. And I'm like, was it my big one? Because, I had a really big one over there. I'm like, was this my big one? Like, I just want to know if it was my big one. He's like, I don't know.
Maybe.
And so I'm like, all right. So anyway, I get down. He comes. And I'm like, where's your deer? He's like, oh, it's in the back of the truck. But I can tell he wasn't like just excited for me to see it. He's just, I'm like,
Yeah, he's back. He's back there.
so I'm like,
Back
okay.
there.
So I go over to his truck, and then I look, and I'm like, you shot this deer? I'm like, it's a good cold buck, so thank you, And so I'm like, all right,
That's
so
so
get
funny.
mine. So we drive the truck over there. He's like, I still haven't seen the horns yet. And I'm like, I can see the body. And I'm
But
like, over there.
you're already second guessing us.
Yeah, I'm already second guess because I kind of like,
Yeah.
can't, I'm like, I don't know, it was big, the body was huge. He looks over there, 'cause you can see across the field. He's like, dude, that thing's body's huge. You killed a monster. I'm like, I don't know about this.
I don't know.
I feel like we should be able to see the, we should be able to see the horns.
Yeah,
already.
there was like, we need to take a second, just not really talk this thing up.
Yeah.
I'm not really 100% sure.
So we over there, and I shot 2 doe too at the same time. Like it's all one hunt. So like we're trying to find the does too. And I still ain't want to go look at the buck yet. I'm like, let's find these does. You know, he's like, let's go with the buck. So we go over there and we get up to it, and I'm like, oh no, this ain't good. It's like a little bitty 6 point, but his body, the deer weighed 286 pounds.
Wow, really?
Like I got a picture. I'm like, dude, it was like it took 4 of us to pick him up and like man him in the trucks. I had a dog box in there too. We're trying to put it on top of the dog box.
He's probably going downhill.
Oh, he was
100%
like nothing else you can do it.
Yeah,
but it was depressing.
Man, nothing's
Buck
worse
was bigger.
than that.
Whose was bigger?
Mine was bigger.
Oh, okay. All right.
barely,
was bigger.
barely,
Barely.
but it was bigger.
It was bigger.
His,
But the-
his was a 5, mine was a 6. So
just in numbers.
Look, the picture looked a lot better than the deer. The picture, you know, I put his 4 legs under, you know, the body on. Everybody's like, "Oh my god, the body!" But
Yeah.
I mean, like, it was like one of those things where it's like, okay, he needed to be killed, you know, but the body didn't match the horns at all. Like I was, like when I first seen the body, I was like, "What is him?" Like,
Dude, that'll do it to you.
I'm like, "It's him."
And that's another thing too. Like when you look into game cameras, going back on game cameras, you'll see a decent buck, and you're like, oh, he ain't that much. But you don't really know how big the body is,
Right.
Yeah.
Just
unless
like we
it's scaled to something else.
So we were talking about my Iowa deer last year. Like if you go watch that video, after I shoot, like I'm thrilled, and I was like, I just killed a stud of a 7 point. Like, you know what I mean? And turns out it was a 158-12. So
Yeah, you never know, man. It's like that buck you killed,
all of our deer was
huge
big.
body.
Look at his body. Just,
Let me see, Daryl.
fat boy. Fat
Golly, dude.
like, just fat.
Show the camera.
Yeah, show the camera that.
Look at this.
In retrospect, this is the body.
That was a big deer. Holy cow!
Was you on a fat line, Daryl?
He don't know where.
I don't know where I was at.
He was on that feed pile.
Okay, so look, I was on the feed pile, but like the way this is set up, so it's like a field, and there's a big river bottom behind it, and there's a creek that runs through the middle of the field, and there's a railroad track on top. And so behind me, there's kind of like the bottom runs in there too. So those deer just come out to this field, and feed like all day long. If you sit on it, you'll just see deer like they just cruise it.
Yep.
And so I just throw a little bit of feed out there all the time. And like, you know how many deer you see.
Well, I can't wait.
I can't wait either, dude. I'm gonna send all my maps to you.
We're about to go to Colorado.
Before you leave, I'm going to show you right
Drop
now.
some
I
pins.
want to show you some public.
Well,
Right
we're
now.
about to go to Colorado. You're gonna kill an elk.
We're gonna kill an elk.
Oh yeah.
He's gonna shoot a cow.
And Daryl's gonna shoot a cow.
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe we got to draw for it.
No, we're gonna draw straws, right?
We're drawing straws.
We're gonna draw straws. We got 2 bulls.
I'm assuming I'm winning.
We got 2
off
bulls.
the rip.
We got
You know
2
what I mean?
bull, 1 cow tag. We're gonna draw straws. Follow us to Colorado. But
Hey guys, it's gonna be a trip. Like 2 people have a chance to shoot really nice elk, bulls, and then somebody is gonna be coming back with a cow, and you got to mount what you shoot.
we're
You
gonna
gotta mount what you shoot.
We're gonna
Somebody's
mount-
gonna have a cow mount.
we are gonna mount the cow.
We got to.
All right.
We might-
should mount the cow.
I think it might have been full body.
Y'all are just glassing. Y'all are glassing. You're like, that's a big bull, and you hear a gunshot go off. I dropped the camera and I just shot him, and I was like, well,
Wow, now, yeah, they'll come back with 1-1.
I think you're gonna be with me, filming me,
okay.
and Daryl's gonna be with B Scott. Then we're gonna swap cameras or rolls, and we're gonna shoot a cow.
Oh, me and
I'm
B Scott.
excited.
Me and B Scott will be done today. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Me and Daryl's gonna get that knocked out quick.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Then we're
Or
gonna
just don't take his opinion from, because he just didn't kill. Like,
I'm like Daryl. I'm sorry, but you are.
So Daryl's like, we're
Oh,
going
for
left,
2.
and you're like, I'm going right.
we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna fly up there, then we're gonna drive back. We're gonna have a truck and stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna be like this ridge or that ridge. We're gonna be like
Yeah.
rock paper scissors, picking them.
It's gonna be a fun hunt. It's
Look,
gonna
I'm
be-
gonna get the elk so close to you, you don't even need a rifle.
Hey, when we get back though, whitetail
No, I got a.
exterminated.
Spear.
I'm good for 1,000
your
yards,
next-
so I'm good.
Mm.
I gotta watch them die.
Let's do it. Well, anyways, looking at the topo and looking at the wind you're gonna be hunting, because I know you pre-plan your trips. You're probably looking at what kind of wind you're gonna have, temperature and stuff. You ever base a wind off a topo? Like, okay, I think this is gonna be riskier than this spot.
No, not really. And
Never?
not necessarily, because again, I take every advantage I can to get myself prepped, right?
Right.
And you're gonna think I'm crazy, right? But like, I don't drink alcohol during hunting season. I don't wear cologne during hunting season.
You don't want to sweat that stuff out, or what?
That's exactly right.
You
Yeah,
don't drink
yeah.
the cologne, do you?
No.
No, that'd be worse.
But the
Oh.
thing is what dudes don't realize is that cologne doesn't just go on your shirt. If you go out, hot catting tonight, and then tomorrow you get in your truck And you're like, oh, well, you got this shirt on, but you're going to do the right thing. You get out your truck, you change into your hunting clothes, you get in your stand, you like go like this, you smell your fingers, you're like, what? No. It's because it bled through your shirt.
You don't need
it.
You don't need cologne. You're married.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Right.
110%.
Yeah.
But there's something else to be said about this, and people are gonna think I'm crazy, but like, dude, everybody smells different, right?
They do.
And like, people put off more sweat. Like, and I honestly do think, like, with my diet, like, I'm blessed. I don't stink. I got buddies that like they gonna have to use a lot more camo dust than me. Like, but
Yeah, they're 2 can a week.
Thank you, Denney.
that's
Excel
right.
package.
Yeah.
Do you ever use like in the shower products?
I do. So like I have a whole, I guess like deal that I do. Like number one, if I'm hunting, if it's an option, I wash my stuff every night.
Mhm.
Right. I use this carbon stuff from Bass Pro Shop. Is what I use as far as laundry detergent goes. But I'll use that, and like what I will do, like if you're at home and it's just your home washer and dryer, take a load of towels, like put 4 or 5 towels in there. Use dead downwind or that carbon stuff that I use. Or what is it called? Like all free and clear, I think is what it's called. All clear or something like that. Use that, wash those towels twice, and then dry them twice with some kind of scent-free, scent killer dryer sheet, and then wash your hunting stuff. So there's no residual. Like you're getting the most residual out as you possibly can. And then I'll take it straight from there, and I'll go layer it in my tote, camo dust every bit of it. Close the tote, and then I don't put anything on. Like my hunting boots have never seen concrete their entire life. Like I'm not, the boots that I'm gonna wear into the woods they're never gonna be anywhere else. I'm not gonna wear them inside my truck. I'm not gonna wear them walking up and down the pavement. I'm not gonna wear them at the gas station because
Boy, you take this stuff.
He's like the
serious.
1%er. You know what I mean? He's the
Yeah,
1%.
but I'm gonna tell you, dude, it's so easy. Like
Yeah.
the thing is, and I'm gonna tell a jab, like you're not hurting, right? Right. And I'm not saying you're loaded, but you're not hurting. Is it really that big of a deal to buy 2 pair of boots? Right? Because
No.
I wear lacrosse rubber, like the little cheap $89 boots.
Right.
I got 2 pair of them. 1 pair of them just stay in my tote all the time.
Right.
And what kills people is like it's pure laziness. Like, and I'm not. That's
You're
not
right.
a jab. But
It is though. It is though.
But nobody believes in it until they have that heart sinking thing happen to them when they're on a hunt. They've done spent all this money,
They
this
throw that
time
nose
away
up
from
in
their
the air.
family. It's not even that, man. When they hit that scent trail where you walked, right?
Yeah.
And then the argument with dudes is like you can't beat a deer's nose. I agree, but like that skunk theory, I
But
was
you can
talking
help.
about,
You can help.
well, and that's the thing. Like if I'm laying polypipe on the edge of a bean field, right, and I smell a hint of a skunk, am I going to drop the polypipe and take off running? No, right? I'm good. But if I smell it and it feels like it's hitting me in the face, I'm jumping, running, almost like a cottonmouth, right?
Right.
Cottonmouth
Yeah,
stinks.
yeah.
You smell that cottonmouth, you dropping and hauling, right?
Right.
Same thing with deer. Like if I can make them, do I think you can 100% beat a deer's nose? No. But if I can think I'm 300 yards, make them think I'm 300 yards away and I'm 30 yards away, finna let that rage fly through the cage,
Yeah.
I won. I beat them.
Yeah,
I didn't
I mean,
have
that's
to
right.
completely beat them.
You don't have to 100% beat them.
I just want to take the fear and flight out of them.
All right. That makes
Best
sense.
chance.
That makes
You want to
sense.
give yourself the best
Good
chance.
sense.
exactly
You're just
right.
reducing it.
And that ties into the topo maps,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the way that
Let's
the
pull up
wind-
that other property
So do you-
and let
do
him
you
look
ever-
at it. Let's see what else he can find.
You
You
kinda
already
talked
got
about
pulled
it
up.
earlier. Like, I was telling you how like sometimes like I'll go wherever we'll hunt. Like if I know I'm hunt this place on Saturday,
Mhm.
like I'll get like leaves and stuff and all that from that exact spot I know I'm gonna
Yep.
hunt and put it in my bin with my stuff.
Yep. Yeah. I don't
I-
do that now. I did that whenever I hunted pines.
Yeah.
Like I would take the pine needles and throw in there because it's pine trees.
Yeah.
But I mean, have you seen that little thing they've got online now? Like you like put acorns and stuff.
Scent
in it and
blender.
you-
Yeah, and you like
Yeah.
shred it up.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like I told my wife
It's a great
yesterday, I
idea.
was like, I'm gonna email them see if I can do a review of that. Because
It's a great idea.
Try one of these out.
It makes sense.
Let me ask you this. I went and did some video work for the Mobile Hunter Expo,
Mm.
and there was a guy.
It's where I knew you from.
Yeah.
All right, I got you.
Yeah.
Yep. Tracking now.
So there's a guy who was giving they were doing their like podcast thing.
Yep.
There's a guy giving a seminar up there talking about scent,
Mhm.
and he talked about you can step on green plants and they'll
Yep.
release an odor that'll last about 30 minutes to an hour. That'll let deer know that are coming through, like, hey, something just walked right here.
So yes, I do believe that. And then there's something to be said about like cutting and breaking limbs too,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
I see that.
it puts off a smell, right? So like, deer obviously are smelling like if a buck goes and rubs a tree, right? They're smelling
Mhm.
the glands off that deer, but they could be smelling like that broke branch too. So like whenever I get in a tree, and that's one thing too, like I don't ever talk about, that's a good point, but like I carry 550 cord with me and I don't ever cut limbs. Like if I can keep from cutting a limb, I'm not going to. Now, obviously you get in a situation where you might have to, break one because you ain't supposed to cut stuff. Right.
Right.
Good hands, feet. No, but but I'll time off and give myself those
Yeah.
gaps because of that.
Because
Like,
you're
and
afraid that they do make an odor that
Yep.
smell and
Yeah,
bust
but
you.
but to your theory with the walking, I believe that, but I also believe if my boots have never been worn anywhere else, right? I'm not saying that they can't smell it because like my Kansas hunt, same thing. In the video, I'm like, hey, I'm doing this scout right before this rain front so that it washes away what scent's there, and the dude's immediately like, you can't wash away your scent, and I'm like, okay, so if you look at a scent particle and we say it's 100%. And I took that down to 10% just because I take care of my stuff, right? There's still going to be smell. If that rain washes away 5% of any smell that's there, now I'm down to 5.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? So
Chance of them smelling that.
that's exactly right. And I'm not saying, like I said, it's not that I'm beating them. I'm just taking the fight and flight out. I want them to think that I walked through here a week ago
yeah.
instead of just walked
Something
through here
less
today. Like something
alarming.
like that. Yeah.
Something that's just less alarming.
Yeah, 100%.
So we got the other property pulled up for him to take a look at
Is
real
this
quick.
Is this it?
I think he's talking about the Arkansas.
Yeah, let's look at the Arkansas one.
Sorry about that.
It's a little bit closer to home, something we can, Arkansans can relate to a little bit here.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because I'm a big believer in that too. I feel like they know
I mean, a
when
lot of
something's
people pausing
disturbed.
the TV, taking pictures and stuff. I
Yeah.
feel like.
We went to West Virginia recently to scout.
Yep.
And we like those fat lines, those benches.
Yep.
Mhm.
We found more buck beds on those benches. We put our cameras out, had more deer on our camera.
Yeah.
So it's like those
Yeah, I'm
fat
telling you.
lines really work.
Bro, and not so many people stole that from me. I swear to God, I was the first one to start talking about it.
Yeah.
And like now everybody's just like fat lines. And
I
I'm
didn't
like,
know about fat lines. We were on this elk trip. You remember that, Daryl? And we had that elk bugle. When we got to the top and we were gassed, that elk bugled below us. And I was like, dude, the elk was just right here on this like thick line. I bet you he's on that next one.
Yeah.
And now that you say fat lines are like roads or,
Yep.
or flat areas, that makes so much
Yep.
sense.
It does. This it right here, Daniel?
All right. So dun 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 dun. Just so y'all know, I did not look at this.
Okay, this is private property too.
Yep.
Okay. Let everybody know.
You want to zoom it out just a little bit? You want to zoom in? What do you want to see here? You probably want to see the whole property, the whole piece, huh?
Well, it depends, right?
What piece
So-
are we looking at?
Where's this at?
Put it in straight up, nothing but topo first if you can.
No. I don't do that.
Oh, yeah? You're always hybrid?
I always run the hybrid. Yeah,
Really?
and the reason being is because I want to know what kind of vegetation is while I'm looking at it.
That makes
'Cause,
sense.
like,
Right.
Because like if I'm looking at this right now, so we're gonna pretend that because I've never looked at this map, but say that I'm gonna go hunt here, and inside of this, like this square, is the area that I know I have permission to hunt, right?
Yeah.
So multiple places through here. A pointer would have been. You're right. But multiple places through here, like you've got some ridge tops. You've got a couple little
Do they have a
saddles.
wireless mouse? Do you have a wireless mouse?
You got a wireless mouse up there? We can.
It's okay. We'll just go by north, south, east, west, and kind of ballpark it. But if you're looking at this, like obviously you've got one ridge system that just kind of runs in the middle from like
Yeah.
from the northeast down to the southwest or however
Yeah.
you want to look at that, right? But
And you're talking about right here. I'll be your pointer.
well, you can see the road that goes right. So the road. There you go. Yep. So you've got a ridge that's running through there. All right. So what I want you to do is I want you to point at the saddle that is just to the northeast of that house, right in the middle.
Right there.
To the right, right there. Boom. Yep. Nope. Yep. Right there in between. So if you guys, like earlier, I was talking about saddles and like lack of a better term, it's just things that dudes understand. It looks like boobies. And then in between there is what everybody calls a saddle. And so then you start thinking about, okay, like I've got a saddle here. And like I'm pretending this house isn't here, by the way, if I was looking at this property. But you can kind of see to the north of the pin that he's got right there, you can see the tree color change that comes up that draw.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah, I see
that's where you start being able to realize your drainages, right? So that's the kind of stuff that I look at whenever I'm going out somewhere else and like pretending this property doesn't have a house in it. So you've got a big drainage over here where the 600-foot elevation is that's coming from like the southeast up to the northwest. And then you've got the one right there that he's on. So I've got two drainages, I've got a saddle, and now I start playing off of that. And I'm like, okay, well, looking at this, I'm looking at one ridge system, right? That doesn't tell me a lot. Like I know that I can go to a saddle, I can go to a point on one of these finger ridges that's coming down here. You can see these three over here on like the southeast side that come down, that go down to the creek. Which one of those fingers should I go hunt? If you're brand new to this property and you're looking at it that way, so what I do at this point is I zoom out because I want to know why they're using this ridge, and I want to know the best option that I have to kill one on this ridge that's going through.
You're talking about this ridge by the house.
Yeah, the big ridge.
Where you see the
on
road.
this property. On this property. Yeah, because like I want to know where to hunt on this property, right? That's the goal here.
Would you not hunt on the fat lines where the other ridge comes up, or the draws?
But he's trying to figure out which exact drainage.
Finger, like which one would they use, right? Because if we're just looking at the small snapshot, which is where I think dudes mess up, like they get this property, this is the property you're allowed to hunt, and all you're dissecting is this property. No, you have to dissect the property that's around your property to figure out why and where the deer are coming and leaving your property.
Right.
So as you start zooming out, now we start getting a little bit better picture.
I'm going to that
Right.
northeast corner.
Do I?
So I'm going to the northeast corner up there.
Well,
Yeah, which probably
you can see
isn't a
food
bad deal.
plots down at the bottom too.
But if you look up off of his thing, right? If you look up here at the northeast corner, John, to the right, down just a little bit. All right, now, boom, stop right there. So now we have another knob, but now you can tell over to the northeast of that, you've got another ridge forming over there. You see that?
I see that.
Now you've got the easy spot. See those small slopes that come off right there? That might be the place that I would hunt on this whole property. Just from glancing at this map, because that is the most precise, like I can pick it apart. Now we're going to talk about something else that kind of gets into a little bit different. If I can't find something like that on a property, so say that piece of property right there, y'all don't have access to, and I am just stuck to this big block that's in the middle. Now I'm going to talk about humpback ridges. If we go down here to the southeast or southwest, I'm sorry, keep to the right just a little bit where the creek kind of peters out. All right, so just north of that little thing, you can kind of see where it's kind of wavy, right? That fat line that's a little bit to the right of your pin right now. One more. All right, that fat line right there. You see how that line's kind of wavy? We call those humpback ridges. That's what Eric and I call them, these little humpback ridges. Deer will travel those, right? And the reason being is if you're looking at that ridge, that's 25% of the way up, right? Off of what we were talking about earlier. So if I don't have a good saddle on a piece of property, I don't just bail. No, there's other transition points that those deer are going to be using. So like with that one, you can see to the south of it right there, you've got clusters of trees, right? Coming down those fingers, from that other ridge, you got clusters of trees. And it's like, okay, well, that's probably a thicket, right? From looking at this map, that's probably a thicket. It's more open up on the north side of that creek. So then I start thinking about where am I going to go? Well, if this is pre-rut, we're looking at this, north is up top. So we're looking at this thing, and like we probably got a north or a northwest wind. I'm not going to go to the north side of that creek because of that fallout that I was talking about earlier. I'm going to get right there where those fingers come down. Yep. Just to the right of that one. Up. You see that finger? It kind of comes down into that little humpback ridge right there. Boom. So I'm probably going to get on the tip of that point right
so
there.
You'll get on the north side of those flat spots.
That's right. Well, what I'm actually hunting is I'm actually
ridge.
hunting the south side of the big ridge.
Yeah,
that's right.
what I'm
Yep.
saying.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So you're going
so now I'm on
will go over you.
That's right. No. The scent from the big ridge is going to fall down and hit me about where I'm at. So like the way that I'm playing this, like I said, pretending the house is not there. What I'm trying to do is hunt the windward side of this ridge that his pin is on now. Now this ridge that he's on right now, that ridge by itself just looks phenomenal. There's like 7 different saddles on that ridge, but that's where it gets into like, where are you going to go, right? So if this was me and I was hunting this, I probably wouldn't hunt the set of saddles that he's on right now. The one that's just to the northeast of that one, it's a little one more up. Yep. So now we look at this one and you move from his pin down like southeast. Now you've got 3 saddles there in a row, right? Boom, right in there.
Right.
So you can tell because there's 2 fingers that kind of drop off right there around his pin. There's probably some kind of drainage coming up from that other saddle. That's going to be a really good spot to hunt.
So if you will, get up and pick a spot on that map where you'd go to scout when you first get on the property. Just what you've seen.
But that whole ridge system he's on right now.
The whole ridge
That is, and to be dead honest, I'm going to show you on a map real quick.
All right.
If I was going to go in this in the dark, where I would sit.
Okay.
All right. If you first hunt, boom.
I got you.
And
Why is that?
I'm going to tell you. So a lot of times deer will bed up top, right? We all know that, or right off the top. So that's a long finger that comes down, that falls down in here. And then we start looking at that big picture again. And I'm going to get up and show you, but there's really 3 different ridges that all fall down into that bottom right there.
That's
so
true.
if they're
That's
going to
true.
come up into that ridge system, that's going to be perfect. So let me show you what I'm talking about.
And also probably the easiest one of the 3.
This one. And then we're talking about hunting here. You also have this ridge system and this ridge system. So you've got all of this that should be funneling into here if those deer are bedding in this area.
Right.
Because you got to remember, what you're trying to do is figure out where they're coming and leaving your property. So out of that bottom ridge system, like that's where I'm gonna go.
It's most gradual area going up.
That's right. Yep.
on that range.
There's so much going on there around it.
Yeah.
And
I
that
call
would be the access.
Yep. I call it Joe Trails. And like me saying that finger is because there's a house up there, right? If there wasn't a house straight north of his pen, that big long finger, keep going across the ditch.
Right there. Keep going.
One more.
One more right there.
Boom. If there wasn't a house and a road up there, that's where I would start 110%. Because again, walking the fat line, if that deer was going to stay on that fat line, right here, you've got the perfect of 2 worlds. Just to the west of that, you got those little humpback ridges that I was talking about.
Looks like you got food plots too at the bottom of it.
Oh, I don't play with them food plots, but yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, so you've got a food
everybody's gonna
source.
look at the food plots.
Yep.
you
You've
know,
got a food source there. Those bucks aren't going to go to that food source. So if those are food plots, I'm actually going back to that south one.
Really? So you
Yeah,
stay away from
110%. Yeah, because a deer,
So if those food plots are planted, you would definitely get away from the food plots.
yeah, I'm not hunting a big deer in a food plot.
They're gonna feed at night. out
That's right.
there.
Yeah, 110%. But what they'll do is they'll walk that ridge that's to the south of. If you got north wind, they're going to walk that ridge to the south of it because they can check every doe that's down there without ever having to go in there.
Right.
Now with food plots, how big deer will like feed at night.
Yep.
How would you still set up in that same area to try to catch them going to that?
Absolutely.
If you know.
Yeah. Yep. That's that cruise area.
You're just
Yeah,
catching.
'cause
the
You talking about
action.
you talking about where the
Yeah, so let's
the
just
pointer
let's just use the food plot that's just kind of south west of him, right? So say that I'm getting pictures. There you go, that big long food plot right there. Say that I'm getting pictures of a buck at night in that food plot. Where can I kill him? I think I can kill him on that pin that I told you down here on the end of that finger. Because I think that deer is not bedding right there next to that food plot. He's coming from somewhere
Yeah,
else.
those would be.
And he's side skirting that big ridge right there and scent checking it and then coming down into that food plot at
I
night.
got you.
Now,
what I'm saying?
I can see that.
now would they be bedded? Say that thick stuff on the
Yep.
northeast side of that other long food plot.
Mhm.
So you would still set up on that one pin.
Are you talking about up there
Yep.
in the top right corner?
Yeah.
Yep,
Where
and-
do you think he would be bedded?
If there was a deer using this,
Yeah.
I think he'd be bedded on this ridge that's down here to the south, to the southeast. I think he's probably coming from over in there somewhere.
Over in
Yep.
there?
Yep.
Okay.
That's what I think. Because and the reason for that is you have multiple food plots through there, right? So with multiple food plots, from that point, like basically where he's in there right now, like where he has that pin, I think that buck is probably bedding in that area because you got to remember his does and his feed are on that ridge to the north. So he's going to want to set up where he's getting that north wind most of the time, right?
Yeah.
With a good bell out point. Where that pin's at right now, his bell out point is just right over the top of that finger. He goes over the top of that finger, whatever is upwind to him, but he's not worried about him, right? Because he's over the finger and
Yeah,
out
he's
of there.
gone.
But if he gets up, say middle of the day, right? Big bucks like to cruise middle of the day, and he wants to check those food plots, see if there's a hot doe in there, he never has to go to the food plot. He can either just side skirt the ridge that he's on right there, kind of moving
smell.
north.
And
He can smell everything that's over there, or he crosses over and hits that finger I was talking about, and you kill him right there at that point when he comes over there.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
My opinion.
That's,
No.
that's a pretty good opinion.
I mean,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's a solid
opinion.
It's a
Yeah, there's
solid
not-
enough plan for me to spend a whole week doing it.
I mean,
I would
You know
go sit
what I
up there
mean?
right now. And
I'm
see.
excited to hear all the haters.
That
So-
300 acres I was talking about earlier that I had access to, I used to feed. And then when I started hunting topos, I
Yeah.
actually killed more bucks versus feeding them. So I saved
Yeah.
money by not feeding and
Yeah.
started killing more bucks based off of topo.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Because I mean, let's be honest. How many mature bucks do you have, either leased land, public land, whatever you are able to feed? How many mature bucks do you actually have come to it?
Yeah,
Not
not
very
not
many.
very
Yeah.
often. Mm-mm. And they're not gonna come together. Like I can't tell you, and that, really the feed versus like hunting based off of a topo map and stuff. Like my favorite thing about it is hunting that downwind ridge, like I was talking about.
Yeah.
Dude, it's nothing to sit there and see 2 or 3 mature bucks in one day. Where if you're on that feed pile, if one does come in, it's gonna be that one guy.
We don't
You know
kill
what I
deer on feed piles.
We don't.
Or feed
No. I
piles.
was just saying for other dudes, right?
Last
A lot of people don't know that.
last year was probably the biggest buck I shot, and it's not a big deer, but I shot it in that saddle area. It was just after early morning. I got in late because it was raining, and I like to hunt when it's like got a drizzle coming down or whatever. And
It helps that scent
yeah.
for them deer.
Oh yeah, I went in with the bow, spot stalk, and I sat on this ridge and watched two little spikes across me fight. And then I worked my way up that saddle to a road bed where the does would always feed around noon. And I got in there it was about 9, 10 o'clock. And I saw just across from that ridge was a small 8-point, about the size that I had shot the year before. And I saw him feeding his way up the ridge to these pines where all these does bed. And he started cruising. So I stayed.
Oh, so I'm sorry. So he didn't come to the feed ridge. He cut them off by going to their bed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Absolutely is what he did.
he was working up that ridge towards the beds, just eating acorns and stuff. And I've got videos on my phone. I'm like 60 yards. I'm walking tree to tree, just following this buck.
Yeah.
And I'm just watching him feed. He drops down the ridge. I get to the top of it and watching him crests the next one. And then once he gets to the next top of the ridge, like a doe spots me and goes off. So I sit down right there, and there's a logging road that cuts across in front of me. And this buck dropped down in this drain. Well, I sat right there, and I've got like a 30-yard shooting lane. And there was a major finger that you're talking about that goes straight to that drain. And that's where I see most of the bucks cruise also. And I see feet coming. So I just get ready, and I like get on my knees, and I draw back, and then that dark chocolate 10-point walks out right in that shooting lane, and I just schwack him. And he goes straight down the drain. And then later on, I call my buddy. I was like, what should I do? You know, I looked, I don't see any blood immediately. He's like, I would just back out. So I backed out, came like 2 hours later, and I couldn't find any blood, but it had been raining still. And then he's like 30 yards piled up right there. But they were all coming.
Heck yeah.
Pines were right here. Big finger ran around it. Logging road cut through the pines to that finger, and that buck crossed right over that logging road to hit that finger.
Yeah.
And down from that finger was the drain, and there was a big community rub.
Yeah.
And the only reason I knew is because I put a camera on it, and there was just small spikes hitting it.
A
all
little
the
bit of
time.
everything.
Everything
Yeah.
was hitting it. Does were rubbing up against it. Like I've got everything and their mom on that camera, and that big buck was just going to cruise down that drain. But that was I never did see that big mature deer that I had on daylight though. He daylighted on a camera one time, and I've had guys even text me nearby properties like, "You have him on camera?" And I was like, "No, I haven't seen him. Seen him since that year."
Dang, dude. But I tell you one thing, dude, I'm getting pumped up.
Oh yeah.
Like I know we're fixing to go elk hunting, get that done. But I'm thinking, okay, I'm ready to come back.
Where
and
am
shoot
I
big
setting
buck.
up?
Yeah, like I'm already thinking.
my brother's going elk hunting the end of the month, and he's like, Cliff, come elk hunting. And I'm like, bro, I can't leave my whitetails. Like I just love it so much. Like, and like the big deer I showed you a while ago,
Yeah.
I was gonna hunt him, but
Dude, that's a monster, man.
yeah, but the rain, so they didn't cut the rice field next to me, so he's still in the rice. Like as soon as he comes out of the rice, I'll kill a 200-inch deer. Like as soon as he comes
Dude,
out,
he's a
of the rice,
monster.
dead.
Can I go with
Like, he's a giant.
Yeah.
But
Can I go with
This
you?
talk will make you reevaluate every stand you have. on
What-
the
I'm telling you,
dude, well, and I don't even have a stand up because
Yeah.
I mean it's public.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What bow do you shoot?
Do what?
What bow do you shoot?
PSE. I heard you talking about your slow Hoyt in that last video.
Yeah, it's slow. It's slow out one.
Hoyt's like the smoothest bow you can buy.
All right, thank you.
It-
I'll tell them.
fast but loud.
Let's be honest here, okay? It's nice not having it be cold when it's cold outside, the carbon or whatever. But, then again, I've always shot a Matthews. It's never let me down. All right, so I'm going to keep doing it.
Hey, I'm gonna tell
And
you
it's so quiet.
Well, and the
Matthews
thing
is
is,
so
it's like
quiet.
on my YouTube channel there, I do product reviews, right? And I
Right.
do a thing called True Hunting Speed, and it's on bows. And you want to talk about dudes that get mad, right? So I take the IBO, I throw it out the window, and I do all of these bows at a 28.5-inch draw and a 75-pound or a 70-pound pull, 65-pound pull with a 430 grain arrow, which is what I use.
Right.
And then I shoot the True Hunting Speed because all these companies can talk about that IBO, but
Yeah,
all
but
that
it's
stuff goes out the window when you get that hunt set, and people's feelings get hurt.
Why they get so damn hard?
I don't know. I don't
Because
know.
they believe
you
in the
should've-
product
so
so
you should've
much, and then when
formed-
you prove them wrong,
It's like a Ford guy and a Dodge guy, and like
It's still ridiculous.
So you
live and
Yeah.
die with it, baby.
400
but a lot of people spend all this money.
Total weight.
total
I don't
weight.
got
That's what I
time.
had and everything.
Yeah.
I don't got
Yeah.
time to be like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, a
So
lot of
after
people
doing
spend
all
all
that, what would you come up with? What was the
What's the
ideal, the
FPS?
best, your opinion after doing all the tests with the different bows?
So I've had, not bragging, but multiple companies, bow companies that would send me bows to shoot because of my YouTube channel, right?
Right.
And I am shooting a bow that is 3 years old, and it's a PSE Mach 1. It's a carbon bow. First carbon bow I ever put my hand on. I shot that bow at the ATA 3 years ago and was just like, holy crap. Like, fell in love with it. It was bare bow, right? Nothing on it. Fell in love with it because, again, public land walking, and like, I don't care what anybody says, you put 6 pounds in your hand and you walk a mile, you swapping hands with that thing. Like,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? And so I started shooting that bow, and this is Scout's honor. I'm not sponsored by any bow companies. The first bow that would have made me swap is the Lift.
Really?
110%. Yeah. And I know Jody was in here, like the bow that he had, I did a video of as soon as they dropped it. And that is, number one, I stopped shooting Matthews whenever they went to the VXR. I bought a VXR.
Right.
The Z7 Magnum was the best bow that Matthews up until now had ever put out, in my opinion. I left Matthews and I went to Obsession, shot a DEFCON 6 for 3 or 4 years, loved it, and used to shoot tournaments and stuff. Loved it, and said I would never shoot a PSE, ever, never. Couldn't beg me to. And then I shot the
Fell in love with it, man.
Mach 1. Yeah, and I won't go away from it. Like I said, like, I mean, my wallet would be a little bit bigger if I would shoot something else, but I don't want to. Like, confidence is accuracy, and accuracy kills. And at the end of the day, I'm doing this because I love it, not because of paying a bill. Like, you know what I mean? I've got a full-time job, but I just love doing it. And so I want to take what I'm the most confident in, which is like, I love those conversations. It's like, I shoot a Hoyt, I shoot a Matthews, I shoot a PSE, and I'm like, hell yeah. Like,
Cool.
I don't have anything negative to say about any of them. Like, hey,
I'll be honest with you, the technology in bows now,
So
you're
close.
gonna,
Dude,
you're gonna get it done with anything.
I promise you, like, I do all those true hunting speed videos, and I try to do every new Flagstaff bow. The bear bows are just as good. Like, you know what I mean? And they're $1,000 less. Like, my bow, like, that bow's $2,000. Well, I don't want to spend $2,000 on a bow, but I've been shooting it for 3 years. Like, I've killed, 42 deer with it. So, like, I'm pretty happy with it, but in general, that's multiple states, guys. Multiple states.
Please
keep that in. Right.
That's multiple years as well.
That's right. Yeah.
Somebody's doing the math.
Dude, hey, I'm telling you, they do. They get me all the time. They're like, he's already killed $3. Arkansas is a $2 state. And I'm like, I've been to 4 states.
It absolutely blows my mind.
They won't even know. People
They don't even try to do any research either. They're just like, oh, he said he killed $4 and he called somebody.
Well, now, like, in all honesty, like, now the YouTube's getting big enough, like, people get it. But like, when I was first starting out, and just like every, because in November, and like, I'm not trying to, but from like November's 5th, I'd say, through the end of November, like, I'm gonna kill $5 or $6. Like, ain't no doubt, because I'm taking leave and I'm jumping states, and like, that's whenever dudes are like, what does he do? Like, where's he at?
because they're constantly seeing stuff.
Yeah, and then the companies are even funnier because they can't keep up, like, where the hell I'm at. Because, like, I'll take 4 days, go to this state, come back to work for 3 or 4 days, go to this state, whatever. Because I chase the rut. Like, it's not the primary rut I like pre-rut.
Yeah.
I'm a huge proponent of calling. Like, I call all the time, call all season long. And like, you get, like I always say, is bucks are just like dudes at a bar. They all got a different temperament. Some's looking for love, some's looking for a fight, and some don't want to talk to nobody.
Yeah.
If I go in, especially like we were talking about scouting with the topo map. Sorry, I keep rounding around back to this or whatever. Hey,
relative.
Hey guys, in my defense, I told them they said an hour. I was like, oh, I don't know we can do all that.
I was like, dude, we can break it in however many parts we need to.
That's right. Yeah, but like, whenever I go in, and this, I guess, is a pretty important part I should have mentioned earlier. So when I go to a state and I'm looking at those 1 through 5 pins that I have dropped, right, I'm extremely confident in my availability or ability to look at a map and tell you where a mature deer is going to be. Like, I feel confident in it, and that's all that matters. I don't care what y'all think. You know what I mean? In general, like, it's what I think, and confidence kills.
Right.
Whenever I go in there, I'm looking for the most aggressive deer sign I can find. So if I walk up and I find a scrape where it's just leaves kind of piled up around it, that's not an aggressive deer.
You want to see leaves slung.
But when I get up to somewhere and there's 3-inch diameter trees broke over, they're hanging branches are snapped, and there's stuff laying on the ground, they're throwing stuff everywhere. Dude, get your ass in a tree and bang your horns together as hard as you can, because that deer is an asshole. Yeah. He's looking for a fight. That's right. Yeah. This is his house. But like, there's so many different parts. Like, you can know how to read a map, but if you don't understand deer personalities, you lose. You can know how to read a map, you can understand deer personalities, and don't know how to either play in the wind or have your scent game on point, you still lose. Like, there's so many different aspects, which is why, like, Lee with Seek One.
Seek one.
Hey, bro, dude,
Roy.
so much respect for that dude because it's a different game than I play, right? So the game that I play is no cameras, boots on ground. I've got to find it right now and I've got to kill it. Lee spends years, and like I think in one of his videos, I seen he said it had 80 cell cameras. Like that's a whole different game, and
Yeah,
and
it
dudes always want to like go against each other, like, oh, you're using cameras hunting on feed, like whatever, bro. Take yourself out of public land. If you're a straight public land guy, like you want to see me get my rear end handed to me, set me on some private ground, because now I'm in an area like this and I can't move, and that's
Oh, yeah.
not my style.
That big buck he killed, it showed it like 3 miles from
Yeah, yeah.
where it was.
Yep.
At one point.
Yep, and that's what I'm saying. Like dudes that hunt feed piles, and and again, there's nothing wrong with that, but like
It's
they're
so slow paced.
consistent at it. But those dudes are consistent. And they know what they're doing. I can't, and I promise you, like I did this at the urban place year before last. I did not kill a big deer, but I would leave the urban, went to Missouri, killed a buck day 2, come back, go to Iowa, kill buck first day, like went to Mississippi, killed a buck first day. But you put me over a feed pile, I'm lost because I'm all up in this camera. Oh, there's no deer over there. There's no deer over there. So I don't go hunt it because it's in your head. You know
wanna
what I mean?
see-
That's
Mental
I
game.
want to see how you break down like a 30, 40, 50,000 acre piece of public and pick which area you're going to go hunt.
that's a longer podcast.
Yeah.
Dude, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
No, and just doing the research before the hunts, that's big. I mean,
It
you're
is.
going to be as
Yeah.
prepared as you can be to give yourself the best opportunity.
Man, and that's what I always kind of tell guys. Like, whenever you start picking these maps apart, you're going out of state or whatever. Eric, right, my buddy. So, like, usually what we do is like we base everything off of what we're good at,
Yeah.
right? So, like, when I start looking, like Iowa's a good example. When we started looking at Iowa, like I immediately, because there's not a lot of topographic contour lines up there, anyways. So I start trying to find something that's got some kind of change in elevation, and there's like one. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna kill a deer here, here, and here, and like I could show you on my phone, but like I dropped the pin 40 yards from where I killed the deer. It wasn't exact; it was 40 yards off, but like July 7th, and I killed him November 4th, first sit,
Yeah.
right? But like we got up there, and what I was planning, and that's why I always say like have multiple plans. So I was planning to go to this place that had all these ridges on it, but along the river, I had dropped some pinch points, right? Because whenever we were looking at that map earlier and you look at those little drainages and stuff like that, if there's no elevation change, pretend that's a topo map. If you understand topos, pretend that's a topo map. If you understand drainages and ditches, pretend that those topo maps are drainages and ditches. If your deer's going to follow a ditch, he's going to follow a finger, right? Like deer are
Right.
going to hug stuff. They're going to follow it. So when we got up there, all that to say, like with what you were talking about, because there's not a whole bunch of public land up there, but there's a lot of small parcels. So you're looking at 50 different parcels trying to figure out which one to go to. And so like I really thought that elevation place was going to be key. And we got down there and there was trucks all
Everywhere.
over. Dude, I'm talking about like every 50 yards. Like if there was a ridge, there's 5 trucks. And so Eric and I, I don't want to say discouraged, but a little bit was like, oh my God, like, because that's what I do the best at, right?
Yeah.
Like if you give me some topographic, I'm gonna kill something. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then it's like, oh, reset.
Yeah, now it's
And-
like, oh, crap.
Yeah, but Eric brought his boat, and Eric was like, well, what about them other pins that we had dropped over here? And I was like, yeah. So we actually went in, looked, found Eric a bang up spot. Turns out, dude, there was a 200-inch deer there. We didn't know it until afterwards. After we had both killed, then the guy that we were renting the Airbnb from was like, hey, look at this. And it was the camera that we had seen out there, and it was just a 14-point, like,
Oh my
freak,
gosh.
not like just straight laced,
Well,
typical 200.
Yeah, you may have never seen that deer either. He may not have killed anything that trip, too.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah. But what we ended up doing is we did all this scouting, and I found some awesome stuff. We jumped a 150-inch deer, and I was like, this is the one, blah, blah. But then I started seeing people sign, and I don't like it. And so Eric's like, bro, why are you not hunting here? And I was like, because I don't have that feeling. Like,
Yeah.
This isn't the
You're not
spot.
confident in it.
Bro, the pin that I dropped where I killed that deer was like 300 yards from the boat ramp. Right. So we're heading back up. It's right at dark. And I'm like, Eric, pull up right there. And he's like, why? And I hold my phone up. And he was like, here we go. And Eric
Yeah.
whips up there. I walk up, find this tree about yay big around that was rubbed, but it had gouges all in it. In case y'all don't know this, like I like to shoot big deer, but I will kill a 4-point with a flyer. Right? Like I like goofy stuff. If he's goofy, he getting smashed. Don't matter. Like
Yeah.
as long as he's
Yeah.
legal, he
He
died.
got some extra over there.
That's exactly right. He got a kicker. He dead. It doesn't matter. Like all bets are off. It's-
Spike, but he's got a drop time.
Yeah.
That's illegal. That's why I say
Yeah,
4-point with a
okay.
flyer. That's why I say 4-point with a
Well,
flyer.
there's some places where you can shoot spikes.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
in Georgia.
Ask Alabama when I went down there. I
Yeah.
smashed one.
Yeah.
Hey, look, dude, that's a different one. Hold on. Because that's funny. But anyway, so we went up there. I found this rub, and Eric said, we've seen rubs everywhere, you know? And I was like, yeah. But this one had gouges in it, like
Yeah.
deep gouges. And I was like, kill him. Like, you know, went in the next day, banged horns, his doe. Because, like, and a lot of guys don't realize this too. It's like a lot of times, dude, you're calling the doe in. Like, you think you're calling in the buck, but you're calling in the doe. And doe come in, she brought him to me, and I smashed him. But the Alabama thing, like I killed this deer. It was like this big. We went there to kill a deer a day because you can do that in Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Went there to kill a deer a day. And the first hunt, Eric seen like a 140. I seen like a 130. So we got locked in on bucks, got our butts handed to us. It snowed like 7 inches in Alabama. What? So that threw everything off. And anyways, the second to last day, I had this big, goofy, mature 7-point shit horns, but big deer that I'd seen 3 or 4 times. I hadn't pinned. And I'm gonna kill him. He comes through chasing a doe, and like it's all on film, right? And this daggum 3-point comes in talking about and gets in between them, runs the doe by me, and then he stops at 15 yards, and I was like,
That's it.
wow. And so my favorite thing, hey, listen,
Dude, that's
people
funny.
don't love that video enough. Like it's my favorite. Like out of all my deer, because I swing the camera around, I'm like, my doe again. And people were like, you killed a spike. And I was like,
Oh, yeah.
I'd do it again.
I don't regret it not one bit.
That's like a Jake that gobbles. Like,
Yeah.
if he gobbles,
Hey,
right.
yeah, he's like a real turkey. He's like a big turkey coming in, but
Yeah.
it just wasn't.
yeah.
Yep.
About laid one out this season. He just,
Well,
came
dude, I'm
in
pumped
out of
up.
nowhere.
I'm so pumped up.
Oh,
I
dude,
can't wait to
yeah.
go deer hunting again.
It's
We gotta
go
hurry
time.
up, kill these bulls and these cows, and then let's get back up in the tree. You know what I mean?
I'm ready.
Oh,
It's
man,
go time.
Hey, we appreciate you coming.
Absolutely.
I definitely learned something right off the bat talking about the fat lines. It now makes sense. See, I never really focused on the top line, the fat lines as much.
Yep.
But now I'm thinking back and I'm like, damn.
It's just a mixture too. You know, the
Bucks are
fingers,
there.
like I always say, dude, the finger and the topo line,
Yeah.
X marks the spot.
That's it.
Kill him.
I hope you guys learned something as well, because I mean, you're not gonna find a better guy to explain it like that for sure. And make sure you leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Check out our other videos. This ain't the first podcast we've done with them before, and there's tons of information on both of them. So go back and watch that one. And guys, we'll catch you on the next one.